Hello, my name is Micallef. I'm a marine geoscientist working at Geomar in the city of Kiel in the north of Germany. At the time, I was 9 years old and still living in my small hometown in the middle of Malta. I had just returned home from a football match with my schoolmates, and I remember very clearly my family huddled around the newly purchased color TV, watching the Italian primetime news, which was documenting live the fall of the Berlin Wall. When I was a little boy, maybe 5 or 6 years of age, I used to collect stickers of landscapes from around the world. I initially was fascinated by their beauty, but once I got into school, I actually found out there is a whole branch of science that is devoted to understand how these landscapes form. And since then, I have to say there was nothing else that I wanted to become, if not a geoscientist. And I'm lucky to say that my wish did come true, and that as part of my job, I have the privilege of exploring some of the most fascinating and remote landscapes that we have on our planet, which are those at the bottom of the ocean. My research breaks the wall of offshore fresh and groundwater. Fresh water can actually be found within the ocean floor. We call this offshore fresh and groundwater, and this has been documented offshore all continents in sediments and rocks up to a distance of 100 kilometers from the coast. The global volume of this groundwater is estimated at 500,000 cubic kilometers, which is equivalent to the total volume of the Black Sea. Marcan is a research project funded by the European Research Council. In this project, we have developed an approach that combines 3 different techniques: reflection seismics, where sound is used to image the subsea floor; controlled source electromagnetics, which measures the resistivity of the pore water in seafloor rocks and sediments; and finally, numerical modeling. And by combining these 3 techniques, we are able to address 3 important research questions. What does offshore groundwater look like in 3 dimensions? Where is the groundwater located and what controls its distribution? And finally, how was the groundwater deposited? We have used the seafloor offshore the Canterbury coast of the South Island of New Zealand to show that our approach is very well suited to characterizing offshore fresh and groundwater quantitatively. Here we have mapped one of the largest known offshore groundwater systems in the world in great detail. The system is 70 kilometers long and has a volume of 200 cubic kilometers. We observe that the geometry and structure of the offshore groundwater system is much more complex than previously thought. It consists of multiple bodies with variable salinities. The salinity is mainly controlled by geological structures, primarily by buried old river channels, which allow faster water flow, thus promoting lower salinities. We infer that most of the groundwater was actually deposited by rainfall when sea level was lower during the last 300,000 years. The main driving force for my research is actually the potential use of offshore groundwater as an unconventional source of fresh water. This is especially relevant in coastal regions and island nations, where groundwater quality and quantity are declining as a result of climate change, pollution, and overexploitation. Our research has the potential to transform future investigations of offshore groundwater systems and facilitate their sustainable use to relieve water scarcity. Our work is also of interest to industrial activities such as seafloor engineering, carbon capture, and resource exploration. There are 3 main outstanding questions that I would like to address in the near future. The first one is, what is the age of the offshore groundwater? And this has important implications for the sustainable use of this important resource because it tells us if and how rapidly the groundwater is being replenished at present. The second one is how the deposition of groundwater in continental shelves in the past, during fluctuating sea levels, has impacted nutrient and methane cycles on a global scale. And the third question is whether offshore groundwater hosts any specialized biota and what are the factors controlling their distribution. The reaction that I get when I talk about my research to family members or friends is normally one of surprise, because very few people are aware that you can actually find fresh water at the bottom of the ocean floor.